So in our last video, we stopped here where we were able to add a customer. And in this video, we want to see how we can view, or rather read, the customers that we have. Now, going into our clean architecture approach, we had the application layer which had an interface or a contract for customers. And we want to add one function, which is to add a customer. It means we need to start from here to say, in this call, we expect to read a list of customers. So I'll say task, and I'll make that a list, and we'll say give us a list of customer, and we can call this get or async. The async is critical since it's an asynchronous operation, so it's good for whoever is using the functionality to understand, so that they can await it and handle it better. We have that. Then we need to implement that in our infrastructure, because the infrastructure projects handles the actual implementation. So we'll head over to the infrastructure, and then we'll go to the customer repository, and it should complain to say there is one function that you haven't implemented, which is what we expect. So go there, control dot, and you're going to select implement interface. Then for you to get everything, we're going to say var customers is equal to await. So we await it, and you see it brings the async there. Then I'm going to say context.customers.to list async, and we just want to return the customers. Again, clean architecture makes it easier for you to handle this. I think there's only each layer has its own concern, which is very good. We'll go to our Blazor application, our presentation layer. We're going to see that we had the add new customer, which has the form. I just want to add at the save there. I also want to add a link to go to the list of customers. So we have the save there. I will bring in an anchor tag, say a href. We just want it to take us to the home page. And since we want it to be a button, we can just get a booster class called btn primarily. And we can say, okay, you might say maybe you don't want to put a shadow there. You can say shadow none. And just add some margin there. And we can close this like so. Then this could just be back to customer, back to customers. So this will just be a list that will send you back to the customers. For now, we do not have that customer, that homepage yet. If you noticed in our previous video, when we created a customer, it gave us a 404. Now we need to add the homepage. So the homepage will just show the list of customers. So we'll go to our components. Under pages, we're going to create a customers list. So add a Reusable component. We can call this customers list. So customers list. We want this to be a component that is routable. It means we can route to it. Other components are reusable, like the nav menu we had in our main layout here, this nav menu. You'll see that this is just something that was put here, which we commented out, but that's just a component that you reuse. But if it's routable, if you want to get there, then you have to add the page attribute to say that will be your homepage. In our code here, what you want to do, since you want to get the list of customers, then we have to find a way to get the list of customers, and we have already built the functionality in our infrastructure to get all customers. In our code, we're going to create a public list of customer. Call this customers, get set, and just create a new list. Since the .NET 8 C#12 allows you just to do that, we can remove that to make it more readable. Then we want to get this list as soon as we get to this component, and we have a functionality that we call Initialize Async, which means as soon as you get to this / page here, you want something to happen. So we're going to override the Initialized Async. we want to override that. So we'll say at this juncture, we would like to go to the infrastructure and call this functionality called getOAsync. Okay, but since we don't want to use the concrete class because it will be a dependency, we're going to use the interface, which is the contract. So we need to inject that interface. So inject I customer repository, call it customer repository, like so. So you say, this empty list I have created, I want you to fill it with customers. So I'll say customers is equal to, remember that functionality is async, so you can await and say customer.getOAsync. So this functionality here will get us the customers. So when our page loads, we already have the customers given to us. All we need to do is to put our razor markup, which will help us to get the list. I'll remove this and just make this a page title. Again, this is another Blazor component, page title. We'll call this customer list. All right, that will show in the browser. Okay, this has to go. Then I'll say, give me a div. Let's just make the class there. It should be a class role. And let's justify everything, the content to center. Then underneath that, I would like to, okay, there's a div, okay, sorry. And underneath that, you can say I want another div. And what this div would do, just take half of it. So let's make the column to be 6. Then I would like to have a button that will allow us to add, because when I get to the list of customers, I will need a page. I will need to navigate to another page or to that form which we've done of adding a customer. So I would rather bring it here. So so we're gonna have an A tag there, like so. href, it will take us to that component which was add new customer, and this one we got there by putting what? Add new customer. So you want to go there. All right, then just say take me there, add new customer. And since I want this to be a button, then our the class, I'll call it btn, then btn primary. You can put a shadow 9 if you want to, and also margin bottom 3, so that there is some bottom, there's some space there, and we can say this should be add customer. Nice. Add customer. So when you want to render things for a proper user experience and user interaction to your application, is you need to follow what we call defensive programming. It means you need to search. I mean, you need to check if the customers exist, because there's a possibility there will be no customers, and you don't want to render a UI that does not make any sense. So what we'll do here is we'll bring in our C# code. Say if, right? If this customers we've created is null, okay. So if customers is null, there should be a way we handle this gracefully, right? We can create a div, and in this div, okay, create a div, and within this div, we can say, I'll create a class which is yet to be done. I'll call this class customer item, and we are going to give the markup customer item. Then just tell them that loading customers, please wait. So we need to handle these things in a way that the user will also not be bored, that they hate our application, because there's no customer. Why should we bother with viewing? Else if we have any user, so we can say customers dot any. If there's any, it means there's something there. we also want to handle it in another way. If we have customers, then since it's a list of customers, we want to loop through it. So we'll say for each var customer, for a single customer in this customers list. Then we can say I want to create a div, right? Just styling, okay? And this div will have the same class customer item, which we have not yet added, but we'll add shortly. It'll be something like that. Then I want it to be a card. So you have an item, then I can add another div and say, give me a div, like that. And this will be another class which I have not added yet as well. I'll call it customer card, like so. And within the customer card, I want to have another div which will have the card body, like so. And there'll be a class there which we're going to call customer card body. It's a bootstrap approach. And within that card, I want to have a heading. H5 should do as well, which would be, we want the customer.name. And just under that, we can say, give me a customer dot the email address. We can put a vertical bar there and say, give us a customer dot maybe the phone number, like so. And I think you're done. So it's just something very basic, just a div that has a card, a customer card, an item, and a card body, and this. For now, these three are not yet done. But we could have a customer could be null, you could have a customer, and also we need to handle another option where there could be things could go wrong. So I'll use the same customer item and we'll say no customers found. Okay, beautiful. At this juncture, I would like to run the app and see if it is to our liking. And you will see that when we run it, we have this. I'll add another customer. I'll call this customer. So you see, there's a back to customer. If I click that, it takes me back. I can add a customer. I can have a Jane Doe. Jane Doe at bank. If I save that, the Jane Doe comes. I can also add a John Doe. A John Doe at bank. If I save that, then you will see that we have that. But we want it to look pretty. And that's why we had introduced these classes here. So how do you bring a style sheet? There are two ways. I'll start with the easy way, then I'll show you how to make it more aligned just to a CSS in its own file. But for now, I'll just put it here. There's something interesting. If you go to the hot reload, you see there's file hot load on file save. So I want to do this in real time so that we can all better appreciate what we are doing here. So we'll put this side by side like so. So what will happen is I will put style, which says this is for the CSS. And in our style, the first thing that I want us to play around with is this customer item. So you copy that and you say dot, since it's a class, customer item, then you do this. Okay, let's save that. If you save, it should reload here. So customer item, we'll say give me a padding. So padding, a padding of, let's try 1.5 rem. And I want you to look at the screen there when I save. If I save, does it change? So that's the padding that I want. Then you might say, I want to have a margin, because padding won't work on inside. The margin works down there, so you can say just a margin bottom. Maybe give me 1 rem. Okay, let's save that. All right, might not be visible, but you'll see. Then you want a box shadow, which just goes through the card. So we can say box shadow. Now 0.5 rem, and let's give it an RGB color. RGB color. Okay, this has to be 0.5 RGB color. That could be, okay, let's put the basic one, the 0.3. Do that, save that, and you see we have a box shadow there. All right, then we can bring in a border radius just to make it more clear. Border radius, that could be a 0.5 rem. Now I notice the spacing between the cards is not as you expected. Okay, so let's save that. Okay, and yeah, this was the, so you see that it's beautifully crafted there. You know, not there yet, but at least you can see. And let's look at the border radius. I also need to put in, remove the space there. If I save, should be a change in the radius there. In the corners, it should be more round. And if I add another one, just say test user, t user at bank.com, customer phone. Obviously, we haven't put a lot of validation to it, but you see that now we're able to get here. We're able to go to customer, add a customer. We're able to go back to the list, and this is very, very commendable. Now, you might wonder, what do we mean by Blazor being a component based? I just want to take you to the idea of a component. In our main layout, we had this nav menu, which we removed. You'll see that the nav menu there is not a Blazor functionality or a Blazor component. It's a component we had created. And this nav menu had things that you saw, like home, counter, to the left of the page. So what's the thinking between this component is to create what we call reusable components. Because if we were to use this nav menu, it would have to be on every page. So it wouldn't make sense for us to have every page with this code on every page. It would be too much. It would be difficult to maintain. What if I want to add another nav option? I would have to go through pages, and imagine if I have hundreds of pages or even 10 pages. I would have to go change in those places. Then that becomes an issue because you have to constantly change that. That's where the idea of a reusable component comes to play. Now, if you look at our customer list here, I can say that this is a card that we might want to show on many places where the customer list is concerned. So it means this could be a candidate for a reusable component. So what I can do is to say, okay, fine. What I can do is to say, let me create a component in Pages. I'll call this, let me create a Reusable component, and I'll call this Reusable component a customer's card. And I don't want to have this. All I'll do is copy what's inside there. I can even cut it and bring it here. Now you get an error. The error would be because the customer name here, it will not know where to get that from. Okay, it's not showing the red squiggly lines, but just take it from me. This is an error. If I build it, it should tell you that's an error. I just wonder why my Visual Studio is taking time to show you that. But you see, it will say customer does not exist in the context. It worked here because we had the customer there, but here there's no customer in our code. So what we do is we are going to bring in what we call a public, not private. It's public because we'll give it to it. Public, it has to be required because if it's not required, then this thing will not work. Then we'll say customer. We'll say customer get and set. All right. Then instead of saying that, we'll bring this customer here, bring it here, bring it there, and bring it there. But it has to be called, it has to be a parameter. Like so. Now if I run it now, I'm expecting to have no error because that has been rectified. Right? You see there's no error. Just not giving us the intelligence that we need. So here, what we'll do is we just like we did with the nav menu there, like we did there, here it will be called a customer card. Customer's card. For some reason it's not showing, and this customer card needs to have a customer. So we're going to say customer card, then we're going to say next it wants to have a customer, okay, which will be equal to this customer we have there. And we do have an error. Okay, it has to be in quotes. Okay, let's remove that. All right, now I'll try to run this, and we are going to see if we are getting what we are supposed to get. And surely when it runs, it gives you the same experience, the same card that we had. So that's how you create a reusable component. In our next video, we're going to see how do we now update this information, change it and edit it. If this video has been of help, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And thank you very much.